Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Here.
Mr. Franco.
I'm here.
Mr. Cabrera.
I am here in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The notice requirements have been satisfied as to time, place, and date of holding said meeting by posting notice either on the bulletin board in Borough Hall and by mailing and emailing same to the Herald of Cape May County and the Press of Atlantic City on October 13th, 2021. In the event of an emergency, your emergency exit is the way you come in, the back right, or your front left, or our front right. I'd like to ask everyone to please silence all their cell phones, and just remind everyone that this meeting is being shown live here today on the borough's YouTube channel, which also streams directly to the Facebook live page. If you have questions and you want to call into the meeting, the dial-in conference line is, I'll repeat the number for you, 888-363-4734, and then when you're prompted, you're going to enter the access code 9699020, followed by the pound or the hashtag. In the event you watch the recorded version of this meeting, you're always welcome to email our clerk at clerk@wildwoodcrest.org. Madam Clerk, it's right here to my right, 609-729-8040. You can reach her directly. Speaking of Madam Clerk, may we have the ordinance, please?
Yes, sir. The first is ordinance 1389 regarding recreation fees.
Motion that ordinance number 1389 be placed on second reading and final passage by title only.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1389 be placed on second and final reading by title only.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Ordinance 1389 reads as follows. An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 56 of the Code of the Borough of Wildwood Crest, entitled Recreation Commission, Section 56-3, approving and confirming rates and fees for the rental of facilities, participation in certain events and activities.
Motion that a public hearing now be held on ordinance number 1389.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded that a public hearing on ordinance number 1389 now be held.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes. Floor is open. Anybody here in the audience? Comments on ordinance number 1389? Anybody on the conference line have any comments or questions on ordinance number 1389?
Motion that public hearing on ordinance number 1389 now be closed.
Second that.
It has been moved and seconded that the public hearing on ordinance number 1389 now be closed.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Motion that ordinance number 1389 be passed on second and final reading, advertised according to law.
Second that.
It has been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1389 be passed on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next, we have ordinance 1390 regarding parking meter charge.
I'll motion. Oh, sorry.
Motion that ordinance number 1390 be placed on second reading and final passage by title only.
Now I'll second it.
It has been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1390 be placed on second and final reading by title only.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Ordinance 1390 reads as follows. An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 47 of the Code of the Borough of Wildwood Crest, entitled Parking Meters, Section 47-8, Parking Meter Charge.
Motion that a public hearing now be held on ordinance number 1390.
Second that.
It has been moved and seconded that a public hearing on ordinance number 1390 now be held.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes. Floor is open for comments on the parking meter ordinance of 1390, which is also known as the use it, if you lose it, you do not get a refund.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Anybody on the conference line have any public comments on ordinance number 1390?
Motion that public hearing on ordinance number 1390 now be closed.
Second it.
It has been moved and seconded that the public hearing on ordinance number 1390 now be closed.
Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Motion that ordinance number 1390 be passed on second and final reading, advertised according to law.
Second it.
It has been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1390 be passed on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next, we have ordinance 1391, and it reads as follows. An ordinance of the Borough of Wildwood Crest amending Section 85-69, landscaping in all zones of Chapter 85 of the Borough of Wildwood Crest Land Development Ordinance.
A motion that ordinance number 1391 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on January 25th, 2023 at 5 p.m.
Second it.
Moved and seconded that ordinance number 1391 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on January 25th, 2023 at 5 p.m.
Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is ordinance 1392, and it reads as follows. An ordinance of the Borough of Wildwood Crest amending Section 85-89 parking, loading, storage, and recycling requirements of Chapter 85 of the Borough of Wildwood Crest Land Development Ordinance.
Motion that ordinance number 1392 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on January 25th, 2023 at 5 p.m.
Second it.
Been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1392 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on January 25th, 2023 at 5 p.m.
Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is ordinance 1393, and it reads as follows. An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 32A, entitled Fees, Section 32A-1, Fees, General, of the Code of the Borough of Wildwood Crest to provide for beach box rental fees.
Motion that ordinance number 1393 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on January 25th, 2023 at 5 p.m.
Second it.
It's been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1393 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on January 25th, 2023 at 5 p.m.
Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next, we have ordinance 1394, and it reads as follows. An ordinance of the Borough of Wildwood Crest amending Section 85-74, vehicular access to private property of the Borough of Wildwood Crest Land Development Ordinance regulating curb cuts.
Motion that ordinance number 1394 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on January 25th, 2023 at 5 p.m.
Motion. Second. Sorry.
It has been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1394 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on January 25th, 2023 at 5 p.m.
Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next, we have the resolutions. The first is authorizing advertisement of a notice to bidders for Joseph Von Savage Memorial Pool HVAC equipment replacement.
I'll motion it.
Oh, second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing the appointment of Tara Rosenberg as Claims Coordinator effective January 1, 2023.
Motion.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing the expenditure of funds to purchase a John Deere tractor.
Motion it.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing a contract with KDI for a 36-month lease contract for one copier printer from March 2023 through February 2026.
Motion.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing certain appropriation transfers.
Motion it.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing municipal court administrator to void certain checks from the municipal court general account and municipal court bail account.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing the chief financial officer to void certain checks issued from the borough disbursement account.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing reappointment of all 5 members and appointing 1 new member of the Wildwood Crest Back Bay Dredging Advisory Committee for a term commencing January 1, 2023, and expiring December 31st, 2023.
Motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing reappointment of all 3 members of the Wildwood Crest Heather Road Fishing Pier Advisory Committee for a 2-year term commencing January 1, 2023, and expiring December 31st, 2024.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing the reappointment of several planning board members with terms commencing January 2023 with various expiring term dates.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing the reappointment of 2 members of the Wildwood Crest Recreation Commission to 3-year terms commencing January 1st, 2023, and expiring December 31st, 2025.
Motion.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing the reappointment of 2 members of the Wildwood Crest Tourism Development Commission to 2-year terms commencing January 1st, 2023, and expiring December 31st, 2024.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is amending Wellness Committee Resolution Number 150-18, adopted on April 11th, 2018, to allow for a total of 13 members and authorizing the reappointments of current members and appointing new members: Marianne Viscomi, Lacey Bigham, Lenny Bernstein, Denise Bannon, and Sally Young, effective January 1st, 2023.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Lastly is amending Green Team Resolution Number 22-237, adopted on July 6th, 2022, to allow for a total of 13 members and authorizing several reappointments and appointing new members: Jeannie Marino, Constance Anzalone, and Gina Vasti, effective January 1st, 2023.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Motion that all bills properly authorized as submitted be paid.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded that all bills properly authorized as submitted be paid. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Motion that all reports received from the court administrator, chief financial officer, tax collector, chief of police, supervisor for the recreation department, construction official, emergency services coordinator for the EMS, and Wildwood Crest Volunteer Fire Company chief for the month ending November 30th, 2022 be accepted as presented.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded that all reports received from the court administrator, chief financial officer, tax collector, chief of police, supervisor for the recreation department, construction official, emergency services coordinator for the EMS, and the Wildwood Crest Volunteer Fire Company chief for the month ending November 30th, 2022 be accepted as presented. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Motion that all minutes from the commission's meeting dated November 22nd, 2022, and December 7th, 2022, as well as the closed session meetings from March 9th, March 23rd, April 13th, May 11th, and August 30th be approved as presented.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded that all minutes from the commission meetings dated November 22nd and December 7th, 2022, as well as the closed session minutes from March 9th, March 23rd, April 13th, May 11th, and August 3rd be approved as presented. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Thanks, Trish.
Sure.
Okay. Moving along, that brings us to our professional reports. Start with our administrator's report.
Okay, ongoing and upcoming projects. The beach bump outs, our engineer is finalizing the bid documents on the final 11 beach bump outs south of Rambler and is expected to be authorized to go out to bid at our next meeting on January 4th. These are Toledo, St. Paul, Monterey, Miami, Louisville, Nashville, Atlanta, Farragut, Stanton, Stockton, and Oregon. As we have been reporting, the Crest has been approved for a $2.5 million open space grant for this purpose. The Crest Arts Pavilion, the majority of the final punch list items are now being handled. The long-awaited 800 amp disconnect has been installed, and Atlantic City Electric is expected to move a telephone pole, which is on the corner, install a transformer on the new pole, and turn on the power this week. That's what we're expecting, so I'm gonna keep in touch with Atlantic City Electric on that. Open Spaces Board, new procedures, we're following those through a pre-application stage for the exterior improvements, which would be the landscaping, gardens, signage, art, bike repair station, etc. We still don't have a final answer on funding for that, but we're working through that process. The groundwater remediation at this location is expected to be completed shortly, and our state licensed remediation expert will finalize the documents and submit them to DEP, which would close that out. Pacific Avenue, according to Bob Church, the county engineer, there's no planned work on this project until after the new year, so there shouldn't be anything going on this week. To date, the contractor has now completed the proposed drainage construction, so now what remains is the concrete curb, gutter, and sidewalk, which has been progressing without any issues. The milling, resurfacing, and striping of the roadway and signal improvements in Lower Township will commence. Over the next 2 weeks after the New Year holiday, concrete and flat work will continue, weather permitting. The Hereford Inlet to Cape May Inlet Beach and Dune construction, I spoke to DEP I speak to them on a weekly basis. I just spoke to them yesterday. I've been assured that the NJDEP and the United States Army Corps are still very much committed to the Hereford Inlet to Cape May Inlet project, and that DEP is coordinating still with Wildwood and Lower to address the outstanding questions and comments for their state aid agreements. Additionally, both the NJDEP and ACE have been working with Congressman Van Drew to ensure that all resources available are being utilized to continue moving this project forward. Once the SSAs are executed, I believe it'll take about 18 months to finalize the real estate acquisition process, but the exact timeframe for obtaining those easements is still unknown, and it requires a lot of negotiation. Construction is expected to commence once those easements are secured during the fall season following those easements to minimize disruption to tourism. And they believe the project will take 8 to 12 months to complete. New Jersey Avenue, our special counsel Jim Maley continues to work with the redevelopment plan. New renderings with the parking area from Sweetbriar to Cardinal remaining are here in the conference room for review. And there's an upcoming meeting scheduled with the county engineer to discuss the project timeline, and we'll get back to you after that. Sunset Lakes State Channel dredging, the survey of the lake area and corresponding report by de Blasio and Associates has been completed and filed with the borough. It has also been shared with Congressman Van Drew's office, the NJDOT's Office of Maritime Resources, the Sunset Lake Committee, and the Board of Commissioners. Basically, the findings show that siltation rates are not extreme, and many of the findings in the Mott McDonald report of February 2016 are still relevant. Joe will probably elaborate more on the project. CAFRA applications. Our application for a CAFRA permit to legalize the public safety storage and parking facilities on the beachfront was denied, but we have been notified that they have approved our request to participate in the alternate dispute resolution program for the permitting. So our first meeting has been scheduled for that alternate dispute. Great news, the renovation of the Beach Patrol headquarters has been authorized to go out to bid. And the CAFRA IP for the following 5 items has been submitted to the DEP. The permit has been deemed administratively complete and is currently under technical review. They've had a lot of questions, but they're being answered by Mark's office. That IP includes the dune and beach maintenance activities, bike path improvements north of Rambler, the widening of pedestrian access through the dunes north of Rambler, the old library site improvements, including expanded parking and water main looping. Washington Avenue Brick Planning Study. The study of the Washington Avenue flooding issues is currently underway and is being funded by a FEMA brick grant. FEMA's contribution is $70,875, and the borough's match is $23,625. This study is being performed by de Blasio and Associates, and we'll keep you posted on the outcomes. The Triangle Flood Mitigation, Jim Rotala will be making application to FEMA and BRIC if the governing body so decides for the Cressy to Rambler Avenue flooding. We do have a current proposal and just awaiting word back on whether we want to proceed with that. And they would work with the OEM on any type of grant funding that we might receive. They have doubled the funding this year from a federal standpoint. EV charging stations. The NJBPU has approved a tourism grant and a clean energy grant for us. These two grants will provide funding towards the purchase and installation of 6 level 2 chargers at the Crest Arts Pavilion, 1 level 2 fleet-only charger at the Borough Hall parking lot across the street from here, if we get approved for that, because that's a change, and 2 fast chargers at each the pool and Crest Pier for a total of 4. We also received 2 $4,000 incentive grants for the purchase of 2 Chevy Bolts or similar cars, which we can take advantage of once we have the fleet installed, because the fleet charger would be the reason, would be the way we would charge these vehicles. We're currently working with our grant writer and engineer on a state contract vendor to secure the equipment and installation sometime this year in 2023, the upcoming year. For 2023 small cities, we are continuing to look at ADA compliance in our municipal-owned facilities and identify the need to renovate 3 bathrooms in the municipal building and 3 bathrooms at Crest Pier. So Mark's office is doing a study along with our engineer to make sure that those grant opportunities are taken advantage of, and we would make application to small cities for that purpose. That's all I have.
Governing body, any questions or comments?
I do not. Thanks, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Smith?
We're good, thank you.
Public, any questions for our administrator? Anybody on the conference line have any questions for Connie? Hearing none, we're going to move on to much anticipated engineering closeout at the end of the year report.
Thank you, Mayor. As said, in lieu of our monthly engineering report, we have prepared this summary of services provided over the past year. Through December 22nd, 2022, our office has performed planning and zoning escrow reviews on 13 projects, reviewed, processed, and inspected 82 street openings, reviewed, processed, and inspected 8 sanitary sewer reviews, project management, design engineering, right-of-way services, utility engineering, environmental compliance, and construction observation on 25 capital projects, engineering and support services on 5 grant and loan initiatives, obtained grants and loans for the following projects: the 2023 NJ DOT Municipal Aid of Orchard Road in the amount of $170,085. 2022 Cape May County Open Space Board Beach Street Ends in the amount of $2.5 million, totaling $2.67 million and $1,085. Over the past year, our firm has provided a variety of services, including those enumerated as above, as well as attending public meetings, providing you with monthly reports on engineering, interacted with the public, and providing key information so that you may effectively serve the citizens of the borough. We have successfully managed 5 active construction capital projects on behalf of the borough. Total construction cost of these projects was approximately $6.5 million. To date, we effectively managed these projects, and all of the projects are progressing on time and within budget. Additionally, please note the other significant items that our office has pursued and completed for the borough this year. Facilitated the finalization of bid documents for the Beach Patrol headquarters renovations. Assisted the borough in securing $2.5 million grant from Cape May County Open Space Board for the beach street end improvements. assisted the borough in submitting NJDEP CAFRA permit for the beachfront improvements consisting of sand backpassing, beach and dune maintenance, water main extensions, and site improvements. Coordinated with the tax assessor's office to complete the full digitalization of the borough's tax maps and beachfront subdivision. Completed the Sunset Lake survey and dredging analysis. Lastly, we are always available to answer questions from your constituents regarding any issues that arose on the various projects. We have enjoyed serving the borough of Wildwood Crest this past year and look forward to continuing to provide the highest quality of services at the greatest value for the borough.
It's a heck of a pitch. Good job.
Way to go.
So, Mark, you're looking so young these days. Senior. All good. Questions from our engineer? Comments, anybody? Anybody on the conference line? By the end of the year report, any questions for Mr. Joe? Hearing none, that wraps up the professionals reports. Thank you. Correspondence, I believe we received an email with respect to the bike path. I think it's the where pedestrians and bikes and any other type of activity up on the bike path. Just I think there's some requests for some line striping and some signage and so forth. So I just if you look under the administrator's report, there was in the CAFRA application, there are some bike path improvements that we're looking to get permitted. When and if that happens, that would also take into consideration the issues that we were getting emails on. There is some line striping there. It was put on years ago. It is starting to fade. It would probably take some sandblasting to remove that. There is some signage up there with respect to electric vehicles, not being permitted up there. There's some additional signage. I think at the end of the day, you can put all the signage up you want and all the line striping you want. People are gonna still do what they wanna do. So I think, again, I'm not sure we wanna keep throwing money on something that we know eventually we're gonna be replacing. But I think that was, as we get these requests, I'm not sure if the public is aware that we do have, some long-term plans for beautifying that bike path. So if everyone can just be patient, in the meantime, just use common sense where if you're on the right, you stay on the right. If you're gonna go around someone, you go around them and you get back in the right-hand lane. It's not that difficult. It's kinda like driving on the parkway. So anyway, so that's that. Second one, that was it for correspondence. That brings us to our first round of public comments. We'll start with anybody here in the room. First round of public comments, name and address for the record, and feel free to ask your question.
Hi, Nancy Agnes, 5405 Lake Road. This is my fourth time here over the last 4 years for the same thing. Mr. Cabrera knows what I'm here for, probably. On Wellman Lake Road between Morning Glory and Cressy. We had a flood last Friday. The month before, we had a lot of flooding. I even got an email from the town, a text saying that the Wildwood Crest Police, Park Boulevard flooded, please, use alternate routes. What about Lake Road? We are so flooded back there, we're one of the lowest points in the town. We have the most tidal flooding. We were completely flooded last Friday. You couldn't get out our front doors. Our cars had to be down the street. I had to take my husband out to an appointment. We have no signage, no poles with solar signs, road flooded, no stanchions with the big bases and the tall traffic cones, road flooded, closed. We have nothing back there. People love to ride down our streets, throw the water up on the front of our house and our porches. It's like a game to pickup trucks, I think. So why can't we, back on Lake Road, get the kind of signage and barriers that other streets in the town have?
So two things. So first thing, I know Commissioner Schiff is making a note of that. The original signage that you see, or I guess the signage that we put in within the last couple of years, that was based on our stormwater, first step of our stormwater master plan. So if there's an additional signage that we would need to put into place Commissioner Schiff would be the department for that. But I just wanted to talk about the long-term plan for a second.
Mhm.
So the long-term plan is that we are just in the process, or just about the period where we can start the engineering review and study to raise some of the bulkheads, to address the piping going, the outfall lines, or the inlets that go through the bulkheads,
Right.
and raising the streets as well. So
Yes.
that process is in play. I think we're looking at 5 to 7 streets for 2023. Probably by the time we get it permitted, it won't be till after the summer. But the long-term plan is in place. The short-term plan with respect to the signage, Commissioner Schiff will get you squared away, and I think we're good to go.
Okay. I mean, I even called, I know 3 years ago, they promised me something, nothing happened. Said, just call the police department, they'll put out, cones or something. That doesn't work anymore. I called, nothing ever happened. Because now you don't get the town anymore, you get the dispatch for the county, and I don't think they're really interested in your phone call. And, so nothing was ever put out. Cars still tried, most of the time the cars come down Morning Glory, they'll turn around and go back, because we are totally flooded. Pickup trucks, another story. You need something at Buttercup, and you need something at the beginning of Morning Glory. Even to set out cones, one of those barriers that you could move there, something in the meantime for us back on our street. So that's what I'm requesting.
Excuse me, I'm
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you. Dispatch won't do that for
No, they
us.
won't.
So if you direct everything to my office,
Okay,
I'll be more than happy to look into it for you.
okay.
That will get something done for you.
Can you give me the information that I can contact your office?
I can give you my card after the meeting.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. I have to leave for a doctor's appointment in about half an hour, but,
It should be done, or
okay, that would be wonderful. Thank you very much. All right, I appreciate that. Okay, thanks.
no problem.
Okay, anybody else, public comments? Round number 1. Okay, we're moving on. New business, first item, dumpsters and trash receptacles. So this is listed for discussion. Just to kind of give everyone a background, we've received some complaints over the years with respect to properties primarily along the ocean front that are businesses, most of which I think are hotels or motels, where the dumpsters are sitting in parking lots. Our ordinance calls for any dumpsters to be enclosed by fencing or shielded so the public can't see it. Now, some of these properties are old, right? They've been here for quite some time. Obviously, these properties have to throw away their trash in the recycling. But in the same breath, some folks don't want to look at it if they're living in a residential house and/or if they're going to the beach. So we're looking at reviewing, we have I think our solicitor, we have a draft ordinance that we're looking at that would identify those properties. If they are able to put a fence around it, they're going to be asked to put a fence around it. If they're not able to put a fence around it because of space or what have you, then there's a process that the construction or the zoning office could permit them to do so. So that is, I think, Mr. Solicitor, if I summarize that correctly, I believe the process would be, or the ordinance that we would be prepared to introduce would be, hey, if you can permit it. I mean, if you can put a fence up, put a fence around it. If you can, then there's going to be an application to the zoning office that would need to be made, and then the determination of the zoning office would then give them a permit to go ahead and continue to operate. Is that right?
No, Mayor, that's correct. The intent is to get these dumpster areas enclosed to the best possible. Recognize that they're there. We all know they're there. We all know that there's no place else to put these dumpsters, and that to enclose them where possible. And the ones that can't be, we'll have to look at separately. Possibly that may have to be dealt with through an application to the planning board. But we'll get, this is not the most recent draft of the proposed amendment, but I'll get that out after the meeting to all the commissioners.
Okay. Got anybody any questions on the concept, process?
No, I'll just wait for the excuse me. I'll just wait for the updated version.
Good, thank you.
Okay. Next one, we've received some requests, this is with respect to dogs on the beach. So as of right now, our ordinance does not permit any dogs on the beach, at any time during the year. We've received some requests, we do have residents that walk their dogs out on the beach. even though it's, unfortunately, it's not permitted. So the question is, I think North Wildwood and Wildwood allow certain timeframes that dogs are permitted on the beach. We received a request to mirror what our neighboring municipalities are doing. I know that there's other resort areas that are doing the same thing, so I listed on the agenda for discussion, see if there's any interest of moving forward with that or not. The answer is no, the answer is no. If the answer is yes, then we can certainly move forward in the details. Everybody, let's say,
I basically don't have a problem with relaxing it a little bit, trying to mirror the other communities. I have a dog, I'm a dog lover, so I would like to entertain that.
I would mirror commissionership as well, I'm a dog owner as well. I would defer to the police and public works on this because this is probably an extra layer of work for them during the summer months. So I would defer to those two departments moving forward.
if I can loosely frame out a time frame, so it seems to me that during the summer, obviously, there would be some restrictions. As soon as the bathers and the beach patrol comes out there, it would definitely need to stop, not be permitted, I would say 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, something along those lines, and then maybe later in the evening. In the off season, I don't know, October 1st or November the 1st to say March or April, I think that's the time frame we would need to look into. And I also just, I'm not one for, I guess I'm looking, maybe there's a trial period that we do this and see where it goes. So I know it's been discussed in the past, it's been received with mixed reviews, so I'm fine either way this goes, but I just wanna make sure that, we kinda balance out where it's not a free-for-all, and we kinda say, hey, come on in and you can do the beach, but also on the other hand, it's gotta have some serious restrictions on it as well. So there's gotta be some middle ground. I just think we just need to.
Well, considering a little bit more, I think it'd be great if we took it into consideration and let me run it by the police, our chief. Maybe there's some things we can do. The only thing that I'm concerned about is more signs.
Yeah.
It just gets to be a lot. So let's take some time, discuss it, and move forward if we can.
All right, Madam Clerk, can we move this under old business, please?
Certainly.
Okay. Under old business, nothing to report on back page, mitigation, nothing. Dredging, I think we received a letter from the dredging committee that we all need to digest and understand. So take the time on that, and I guess there's still some information that we need to weigh in on. Capital permit, Connie handled her report. Phase 2 beach bump outs, Connie covered that under report. There are some moving targets that we need to still address before Mr. Joe, I mean, still possible. I know we're hoping to move forward in authorizing notice to bidders for this project for January 4th. So there's one big thing that's really holding this up. One is the shared service with the city of Wildwood and the water utility. And I believe we're waiting to hear back on comments on that, Ron, right?
We are, they're reviewing the last comments. I'll follow up today with their attorney.
Okay, and then there's some electrical, so the Atlantic City Electric, there are some poles that are in the way of on 11, there's 11 streets, so there's some Atlantic City Electric poles that they've indicated that they can move. There are some that are posing some difficulties. We need to work our way through that. And then there's the time frame, right? So this project is running, I'm gonna say at least a month late than we had anticipated. So it is possible that this would go into the summer, so we needed to understand that before we got the bid, the time frame. Do we wanna have a hard stop for construction, before the summer and then pick it back up after the summer? Or in the past, we've had to go past Memorial Day into June to finish it up so the residents and the vacationers would have the opportunity to use it during peak summer, July and August. So I know it's an inconvenience to property owners and businesses, but on the other hand, there's a lot of people that would look forward to using it, in the peak summer. So that's something that we also need to weigh in on. So that all said, Mr. Joe, if we can work through all these, there's so many Joes around here. I wish there was one. We can work through those before we go out to bid. That would be great. Okay, New Jersey Avenue infrastructure, nothing there. Major reconstructing streets plan, nothing on that. Let's see, pool roof and resurfacing, I believe we are about ready to go out to bid on that. Funding is in place for that. Public Works roof, we are ready to go out to bid on that. Borough Hall exterior addition office moves, there's nothing I'm aware of on that one. Bayfront outfalls, capacity bulkheads, we mentioned on that, so waiting on engineering for that. Connie reported on the Arts Pavilion and Cape May County Open Space. Beach Falls and capacity at Seaview, that's grant. Seating in lieu of barricades at Centennial Park, I believe that's a budgetary item that we're working with engineering, public safety is. Updated landscaping and lighting in the business district. Assistant Superintendent Shear, is he in the audience? Yeah, I see you. Do you have a report on the updated landscaping and lighting in the business district?
I hear the last part of it. What was the last part of your question?
On the New Jersey Avenue Business District, the 6 blocks of the Crest Station, we have an update on landscaping and lighting? I know there's some work that's been done there already since the last meeting. We had a resident complain about the upkeep of that.
Yes, we removed the old lights on the trees that are currently there. I've reached out to DEPCOR with some ideas for some temporary structures. Until I get further information and feedback from them, then I'll present it to our next meeting.
Okay, so any questions and any work that's been done, you're the point person handling this, is that correct? Okay, direct any questions to Assistant Superintendent Shear, to your cell phone.
You can get that number out.
Yeah. Public comment, last round. Last round of public comments. Anybody on the conference line, public comments? All right, moves us to the commissioner comments.
Good job.
I just wanted to say the Boardwalk Classic is happening this week. Commissioner Schiff is heavily involved with that. Was able to watch a game last night. So I think if you're needing something to do, I think it's good to go out and support our local kids. It's very important for to show your face and see and be involved. So I'll be there this week checking it out. So, and also want to wish a Happy New Year to everyone within the borough, my fellow commissioners. Looking forward to 2023. So, Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you. I guess it's my turn, right?
Your turn.
Real quick, I'd just like to send our condolences to the Jerry Thornton family for the loss of his wife that happened this week. Nice people. So I just wanted us to think about that for a little bit. I'd like to wish everybody a Happy New Year also. And we are doing the basketball tournament, and tonight Wildwood plays, so we should be pretty busy. And Happy New Year to all.
Okay, so I'm bringing up the rear. First of all, I would also like to reiterate what my fellow commissioners have said. Hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. Wish everybody a very Happy New Year. The next meeting will be on January the 4th. That will be our reorg meeting. This will be the 1-year anniversary of this administration. We're all still alive. We're all still getting together. Getting along.
Wait, that really went by fast.
Yeah, it went by fast.
Year, oh my
How
God.
fast a year goes by.
And we're still talking.
Yes, it's all good. So, we made it by. Unfortunately, I won't make it to the Boardwalk Classic. I have some other things going on there, but I wish Wildwood well. And gentlemen, you guys can represent Wildwood Crest in a good light. I will say that I am more of a wrestling fan than a basketball fan. So, but I know you basketball players will be there for sure, carrying the torch for the borough. That said, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion that.
Second, Trish?
All in favor?
Aye.
10:13. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trish,